Hello everyone and welcome. Get ready for a series of multiple choice questions covering the ACT exam. All right, let's get started. A researcher is studying the effect of a new drug on blood pressure. They design an experiment with two groups. Group 1 receives the new drug and Group 2 receives a placebo. Both groups have similar average blood pressure at the start of the study. After 4 weeks, the average blood pressure in Group 1 is significantly lower than in Group 2. In this experiment, the independent variable is the A, average blood pressure, B, size of the groups, C, type of treatment received, drug or placebo. The duration of the study. Take a moment to consider the question and options. The answer is C. The independent variable is the factor that is manipulated or changed by the researcher. In this case, the researcher is changing the treatment received by each group, either the new drug or a placebo, to see its effect. A student performs an experiment to determine how the mass of a pendulum affects its period, the time it takes for one complete swing. They use pendulums with different masses, but keep the length of the string and the initial angle of swing constant. Which of the following is the most likely hypothesis for this experiment? A. The period of a pendulum increases as its mass increases. B. The period of a pendulum decreases as its mass increases. C. The period of a pendulum is not affected by its mass. D. The period of a pendulum is directly proportional to the length of the string. Take a moment to consider the question and options. The answer is C. A well-known principle in physics is that the period of a simple pendulum is primarily determined by its length and the acceleration due to gravity, and is independent of its mass. Therefore, the most likely hypothesis the student is testing is whether the mass has an effect, with the expected outcome based on physics principles being no effect. A student is testing the effect of different types of soil on plant height. These 3 identical pots, each with a different type of soil, sandy, loamy, and clay. They plant the same type of seed in each pot and give each plant the same amount of water and sunlight. After 3 weeks, they measure the height of each plant. What is the control variable in this experiment? A, the type of soil. B, the height of the plants. C, the amount of water given to the plants. D, the type of seed planted. Take a moment to consider the question and options. The answer is C. Control variables are factors that are kept constant throughout the experiment to ensure that only the independent variable is affecting the dependent variable. In this case, the student keeps the amount of water, sunlight, and the type of seed constant. A food web illustrates the feeding relationships between different organisms in an ecosystem. Arrows in a food web point from the organism being eaten to the organism that eats it. If an arrow points from a rabbit to a fox in a food web, this indicates that A, the rabbit eats the fox. B, the fox eats the rabbit. C, the rabbit and the fox compete for the same food source. D, the rabbit and the fox have a symbiotic relationship. Take a moment to consider the question and options. The answer is B. In a food web, the arrows show the flow of energy. An arrow pointing from organism A to organism B means that organism B consumes organism A. Therefore, if an arrow points from a rabbit to a fox, the fox eats the rabbit. Which of the following solutions is the most acidic? A, a solution with a pH of 3. B, a solution with a pH of 7. C, a solution with a pH of 8. D, a solution with a pH of 12. Take a moment to consider the question and options. The answer is A. Acidity increases as the pH value decreases below 7. A solution with a pH of 3 is acidic, while solutions with pH values of 7, 8, and 12 are neutral or alkaline. A pH of 3 is the furthest below 7 among the acidic options, indicating the highest acidity. A scientist is examining a cell under a microscope and observes the presence of chloroplasts. Based on this observation, the cell is most likely from a animal. B, plant, C, fungus, D, bacterium. Take a moment to consider the question and options. The answer is B. Chloroplasts are organelles found in plant cells and eukaryotic algae that conduct photosynthesis. Animal cells, fungi, and bacteria, which are prokaryotic, do not have chloroplasts. The atomic number of an element is the number of protons in the nucleus of an atom of that element. The mass number is the total number of protons and neutrons in the nucleus. An atom has an atomic number of 17 and a mass number of 35. How many neutrons does this atom have? A, 17, B, 18, C, 35, D, 52. Take a moment to consider the question and options. The answer is B. The number of neutrons is equal to the mass number minus the atomic number of protons. Number of neutrons equals mass number minus atomic number equals 35 minus 17 is equal to 18. The half-life of a radioactive isotope is the time it takes for half of the atomic nuclei in a sample to decay. The half-life of carbon, 14, is approximately 5,730 years. If a sample initially contains 10 grams of carbon, 14, how much carbon? 14 will remain after 11,460 years. 0 grams, B, 2.5 grams, C, 5 grams, D, 10 grams. Take a moment to consider the question and options. The answer is B. 11,460 years is equal to 2 half-lives of carbon, 14. 11,460 divided by 5730 equals 2. After 1 half-life, half of the original sample remains, 10G dead by 2 qual 5G. After a second half-life, half of the remaining sample decays, 5G divided by 2 equals 2.5G. Researchers are conducting an experiment to test the effectiveness of different types of insulation. They build several identical small boxes and insulate each box with a different material: foam, fiberglass, wool. They place a heating element inside each box and record how long it takes for the temperature inside to drop by 10 degrees C after the heating element is turned off. A variable that should be kept constant in this experiment is the A type of insulation, B, initial temperature inside the box, C, rate of temperature drop, D, material of the boxes. Take a moment to consider the question and options. The answer is B. To fairly compare the effectiveness of the insulation materials, the researchers need to start with the same initial conditions in each box. The initial temperature is a condition that should be kept constant. The type of insulation is the independent variable, and the rate, time of temperature drop is the dependent variable. The material of the boxes should also be constant. However, the initial temperature is a more direct condition that could significantly impact the results if varied. Enjoyed the video? Want to stay up to date with the latest training? Then make sure to subscribe to our channel. We've got tons more helpful content coming your way. Hit that subscribe button and join our community.